They said dry and warmer tomorrow.
Just more fun.
I got an 8 o'clock flight. Okay, here we are. We are here for our Marion County Board of Commissioners weekly meeting, and it is a Thursday. Welcome everybody to be here on Thursday. It's 8:30 in the morning, January 18th, 2024. Yeah, I wish I was 10 years younger. It felt like that after this vacuum we've been in for the last 6 days. We're here in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast. And I do want to thank Chariots for allowing us to be here this morning. And we switched locations with them, and they were kind to use our room, and we're using the Senator Hearing Room. We have nobody signed up for public comment, so we can go right into the consent agenda. And
do we want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh yes, you know what? I did it yesterday morning.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, thank you, because you were in Washington, D.C. You're so patriotic today.
I am. I stood under a flag at the White House
That's
and
so
did the
cool.
Pledge of Allegiance.
That's so
It
cool.
was
I'm looking forward to
probably
it.
one of the most epic things I've ever done in my life.
It is a pretty good feeling, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you get to go into the White House just as an average person?
I've done it once, but not to see the president.
Yeah, I didn't see him either, which was probably better for him, if I'm totally honest, because I'm pretty upset with the guy right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, since you are back, I'll let you move the consent calendar.
Great. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent calendar under Board of Commissioners, Board Committee appointments for Parks Commission, approve an order appointing Tabitha Henriksen as a citizen at large to the Marion County Parks Commission with a term ending December 31st, 2027. Under Public Works, receive the hearings officer decision approving administrative review, case number 23020, GRC Land Holdings LLC. And approve amendment number 1 to the incoming funds lease agreement with McKay Farms to add $65,520 for a new agreement total of $131,040 and extend the term date to December 31st, 2028 for the lease of 42 acres of farmland adjacent to the North Marion County Disposal Facility. And under Tax Office, approve orders for a property tax refund for the following tax accounts. Advantage Self-Storage account 511716 in the amount of $23,817.74. Advantage Self-Storage LLC account number 511718 in the amount of $26,397.39. Corvallis Seniors LLC account 591420 in the amount of $44,249.10. Hacienda West LLC account number 572743 in the amount of $40,877.65. Southbrook MHC LLC account 532680 in the amount of $20,460.23. Weaver Philip K, account 322450 in the amount of $36,273.33. And Weaver Philip K, account 569318 in the amount of $30,622.41. And Starlight MHC LLC account 5222148 in the amount of $92,084.13. That's it.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. So our first action item today is under the Board of Commissioners and Board Committee appointments for the Fair Board. Kelly, welcome.
Morning.
And we will consider approving an order appointing Dana Castano, Greg Martin, Randy Crandall to the Marion County Fair Board, with Dana Castano's appointment ending December 31st, 2024, Greg's ending December 31st, 2025, and Brandy's ending December 31st, 2026.
Great. Well, good morning, Commissioners. This is on an action item because we were intending to have a couple of the members here, but snow happens, so we'll just keep rolling on. But we had heard from Dana Castano and Greg Martin that they wanted to be here, so we're going to reach out to them and see if they would like us to schedule maybe a presentation or something later on.
Okay.
Great.
So. Yeah, that's it. That's all I
Yes.
have if you're ready to.
I actually have a question.
Yes, go ahead,
Okay,
Commissioner.
so I know that we've had some vacancies, and this is filling 3 of.
Yeah.
How many do we have left?
One more left, one
One
more
more.
vacancy.
Okay.
But there's always, I mean, the more the merrier. So if you know of people, this is a great time to let them know about not only the Fair Board, but also key volunteer positions. So they could try on the Fair Board for a little while, see if it makes sense for them with a key volunteer position, and then maybe apply as other opportunities come up, so.
When do they meet?
The Fair Board meets on the first Wednesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. So that's the major long-term commitment, is a 2-hour meeting once a month, and then really being available at the fair. The fair week and really the month leading up to the fair is when the Fair Board really is under pressure and has a lot to do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any questions, Commissioner?
No, I'm happy to fill some vacancies.
We, before you make the motion, I know we've got some issues with our contract with FAIR that we have to discuss. I don't know when we're going to schedule that.
The state fair, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, with our contract with the state fair.
Oh, our contract with the state fair, we have an IGA. That doesn't expire until 2027. So we're fine there. It's that the state fair has some new policies.
Right. Does
Yeah.
that impact our IGA?
It does, well, okay. So there are new policies impact at the very least any area that are outside. So the parking, for instance, is not included in our IGA. So
Right.
at the very least, that's going
That's
to
what I'm
be
talking about.
impacted.
We have to have that discussion.
We have to have that discussion, yes.
Okay. All right, I'll take a
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve orders appointing Dana Castano, Greg Martin, Brandy Crandall to the Marion County Fair Board with Dana Castano's appointment ending December 31st, Greg Martin's appointment ending December 31st, Dana's appointment ending December 31st, 2024, Greg Martin's appointment ending December 31st, 2025, and Brandy Crandall's appointment ending December 31st, 2026.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Kelly.
much.
Okay, next item under business services, who has been busy the last few days, taking care of buildings, et cetera, during this. Thank you, Terry, for all you do. Consider approval of a purchase order with the Waxy Sanitary Supply in the amount of $150,000 to provide janitorial services, industrial paper products, and custodial equipment for the Marion County buildings through June 30th, 2024. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. For the record, Terry Stoner, Facilities Manager. So currently we have a contract with Waxy Incorporated for our custodial supplies and small equipment. That contract is for $100,000. What we're asking for is approval to amend that contract up to $150,000. Jan has approved us to purchase some equipment for the new health building that we have, and so with that amendment, we'd be able to. We did go out and receive 3 quotes for the same equipment. Waxy was the one that came in the cheapest, so we're asking to amend that so that we can proceed and get that equipment for that building.
Okay, because this amount, we don't have to worry about contract review board or anything, so. Good. I know we had a management update about this, so if there's any questions?
Nope.
If not, I'll take a motion.
All right, I move to approve the purchase order with Waxy Sanitary Supply in the amount of $150,000 to provide janitorial supplies, industrial paper products, and custodial equipment for Marion County buildings through June 30th, 2024.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Terry, thank you, and thanks for keeping us all safe and all what you did over this freezing rain and everything. So,
You're welcome. My
yeah,
pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are done with our work for today. You want to share a little bit about your
I'd love to.
patriotic trip?
Yes, but before I do that, thanks to our amazing CAO over here and her beautiful handwriting. I think what the public doesn't see is the work that goes on inside or behind the scenes, if you will, when things like this week happen. Aside from the text threads, that we have going, trying to make decisions, we have a significant number of employees that work for, or on behalf of the citizens of Marion County that come to work, that show up. For example, Terry yesterday was in this building because the fire alarm was going off, and Tamara was doing her best to make sure we weren't like freaking out that our building was on fire, and it turns out it was an air leak, which is weird, but whatever. I am very active on social media and have the opportunity to see the citizens' remarks, and we received a lot of kudos from the community of appreciation. The Sheriff's Office did a great job in communication. Environmental Services did a great job through emergency management team with communication. Our office communicated. But in addition to that, the things that we don't really notice, the public works crews that people didn't see. I saw people say, oh, the county isn't really showing up like they normally are. So I, of course, jumped into a thread and said, what does that mean? Well, we haven't seen them. And I was like, why do you need to see them? Can you drive down the road? Like, they're there. So our public works crew worked extensive hours over the weekend, late hours previous coming into this storm, trying to make sure the roads were safe. They laid de-icer previous to the storm, and then of course it rained and impacted that de-icer. And of course, what do you do with ice? The Sheriff's Office, the sworn staff that were on the roads in considerably uncomfortable spaces. There is a beautiful Mustang GT in an irrigation ditch out by my house that the sheriffs had to drive out to make sure the dingbat that was driving that yesterday was okay. And then the jail staff have to come in because it's a 24/7 operation. The juvenile department, we have youth in there that can't just be left, so we have a 24/7 operation there. And then Health and Human Services, we also have 24/7 staff. The Psychiatric Crisis Center, Horizon House, and our MAT team, making sure that folks who have a need are receiving those services. And then last but definitely not least is the county facility staff who show up regularly to make sure we're not driving down an ice rink to come into our building to get here, so staff have safe places to park to show up to do their job. I just, think it's super important that we showcase them. We're the ones out front that people see, but we were doing the work from our homes or wherever you were, and they weren't. They're essential employees and very important to us, so thank you so much for showing up the last few days to make sure that we could all be here today to serve you. So I wanted to say that.
And I want to thank the citizens that did stay home and stayed off the roads.
Yes.
and kept themselves and their families safe, because that's the best thing to do, so that those people that had to get out on the road and get someplace could do it. I know I drove Monday. Vicky had a 7 a.m. flight out of PDX, so I said we're gonna leave at 4.
Wow.
So we left at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the worst part of the roads were from our house out south to getting on I-5, and then I know it got worse after that. And counsel, you were working. We didn't mention this, but legal counsel was here in Salem, snowed in, iced in.
Like you stayed here?
Yeah.
Stayed here. I had a brief due on Tuesday. Came in yesterday.
So there's just things that happened all around us that it's quiet, and we just want to thank all those people who did what they were supposed to do, and again the public for staying, and some people lost power, and hopefully we had Jan and I had a call with Maria Pope and Wendy Valise on, was that Monday, Jan? Monday. We down south survived. I don't want to say survived, but had a lesser impact on power outages.
Oh yeah, Portland was
a
bad.
war zone basically, and still is, from what I understand. And I was just showing Commissioner Willis the alert. I was supposed to have a 8 o'clock flight tonight, and there's an alert for an ice storm again,
Right.
starting at 10 o'clock up in Portland. So they're not out of the woods up there yet. But just want to say thank you for everybody staying that did the right thing, because it's awful tempting when you're locked down for 4 or 5 days to just want to get out. I mean, you can't even walk, unless you have
You can ice skate.
Well, yeah, the cleats.
I sneaker
The cleats.
skated all over my property to tend to my animals this week.
Yeah,
It was
the
fascinating, and we have cameras, maybe I'll pull the footage and you cannot see it.
And I'm really confused because I put my recycle and my trash out and nobody else is out there. And I'm going, okay, when are they gonna, because normally it's Tuesday.
Today. Well,
Huh?
for us, it was today in Stayton. They called us yesterday and were like, just kidding, we're not picking up on Wednesday. Do it on Thursday.
Yeah, and then, and I think everybody knows I had a tree come down on my truck.
Yeah.
And I went up Friday to inspect all the damage. And I'm glad I did because the power was out, but I talked to CPI and they said, no, your power's on. I said, no, it's off. And there was about 4 or 5 houses around there that was off. And then it went off day before yesterday.
It's back on this morning.
Yeah, it was on last night.
Okay.
Came on last night, but they had given an update that said it wasn't gonna be maybe till Sunday.
Yeah.
But then it came on last night. And the mayor, we had a Detroit Planning Commission meeting. What day was it? What's today? Thursday? It must have been Tuesday night. And the mayor was in the council chambers. We did it remotely. And then he said at that time the generator was on and they were keeping it warm for people up there. So I think Jim may have stayed in stayed in Detroit during all that. And we just have really good leaders around the community that I haven't heard anything from up north from any of the cities. So hopefully everybody's doing okay. What else? Anything else this long week ahead of us? Tomorrow's Friday.
Gonna get a lot of work done in the next 48 hours.
It's all gonna smash into today and tomorrow. My husband said, "Are you gonna be late?" And I said, "I'll see you Saturday."
My home office is nice and organized.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you want me to talk about my trip?
I do. That's why I wanted to.
Yeah,
but then-
sorry, I know, I hijacked
No,
it.
we needed to thank everybody for what they did.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity as the Association of Oregon Counties president to accompany our executive director, Gina Nickel, back to DC last week and go to a conference that appeared to be on paper a leadership conference, but really what it was is an opportunity for me to connect with the other states' presidents and directors and focus on policy that we can really rise to the White House's attention, frankly, because that's what we ended up doing. And there are 2 primary topics that we all focused on was the opioid challenge across America and homelessness, which is impacted because of that opioid crisis, and then also different perspectives in different states as to why their homeless crisis is what it is. I was super proud to sit in a room of, not all 50 states came. I think there was like 42 of us, and listen to the challenges that they all see from their perspective and be able to actively participate in the solution discussion. Not so much from the Oregon lens, because I very much think Oregon is challenged in both of these spaces, but I had the opportunity to present some of the work that we do here in Marion County. Gina had said, hey, I know that you're the AOC president, but you have done a good job, Marion County, talking to other counties across Oregon about some of the things that you're doing that we know are being replicated in other counties. So talk about that. So I talked about her place and his place and our place. It resonated so much that Baltimore, Maryland is going to be reaching out to meet with Ryan, and they would like to replicate that program in their state. It was fun to talk to their public health director and learn how their state functions. Their Health and Human Services is also at the county level a DHS. They handle foster care at the county level. They handle juvenile in their health department. They have they also have community corrections in their health department. And it's a system that they consider full circle. The prevention and reaction component really comes out of the health department. But they didn't have any solution that was more of a family setting that was robust to keep kids with parents, and they just couldn't get there. So I'm excited about that. And then I talked about our burn network in Marion County and how the state took the Measure 110 dollars, rather the cannabis dollars, and gave them into the communities, and how Marion County was the first county to collaborate with its community partners and set up our burn network and be able to deploy those dollars and get immediate results. Gina was able to talk on the opioid stage, so we had an opioid summit and had several members of the White House staff present to interact, and they were super curious how we, as a low-level government, were able to take these dollars and react so quickly. So I was able to sit and talk to the staff of the White House and describe how we do things here in Marion County. And so I know for a fact they're going to be reaching out to us to understand how the state is functioning in Oregon, and then what does it look like at the county level across the state, because we have some counties that are doing the burn differently, that are working and is not working, and they're interested at the White House to determine how they can define policy to really get local authorities in control to get real results. It was fascinating to just talk to these folks that are making national policy and really have a lens focused on Oregon, and really be at the table, in the real discussion. And we talked about a few other things that I was frustrated by, but because I offered them solutions, they were interested in listening to my concerns. So I'm excited to go back. We go back in February for the legislative conference for NACO. And Commissioner Willis will be accompanying me there, and we're working on setting up meetings with some of these players that I met last week to pursue more conversation in February. And I mean, who knows what will come of it, because it's such a huge bureaucracy back in DC, but it was rewarding, I feel like, that we've really been kind of in the trenches here in Oregon, really working hard to talk about the work that we're doing, and then for it to be highlighted, I would say, on the national space was great.
Super. So there's an article in the Willamette Week right now.
Oh boy.
From a top psychiatrist at OHSU.
Okay.
And the premise is Oregon spends twice as much per person on treating mental illness, and we're like in the bottom 5 states in the country as far as outcomes go. And I'm not making this up. This so-called expert says the reason is because the state isn't in control of everything. We have this federated model where the counties, it's all broken up, and in Massachusetts they do so much better because the state runs everything. And I read this and I literally laughed out loud, because I was like, this is the state that literally blew up the state hospital, is dumping patients. Those are the guys you want to put in charge of everything? That's the problem, is the counties? Like, it was comical. And I was reading this and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is why we can't have nice things, because our so-called experts don't even know what the heck is going on, right? They think like if we just gave more power to the bureaucrats, it would all get better, right? And it's just like, oh my gosh, like there's this myopathy that they have, at the highest levels, where they don't actually understand how the work gets done. They don't understand how the person gets into treatment. They don't understand what the actual steps are from somebody on the street living with an addiction to being in a safe place, in a house, with treatment, with services wrapped around. They're so far away from it that, but because they have the letters at the back of their name, people come to them and are like, oh, what should we do? And then they keep, and I think it's well intentioned, but because they don't understand how the practical work gets done, they keep coming up with these solutions that don't actually fix the problem.
Well, thank God that person is not at the White House. I'm just saying. And also, we, at our opioid summit, which you can, for folks that are interested in this discussion at the national level, is on the NACO website. It was filmed, and Gina sits and speaks there. But we had they call him some kind of a czar. He's like the drug czar or something of the country that works for President Biden. And he came and spoke, and he's running the response nationally to the opioid epidemic, and right in charge of the policy teams delivering resources and kind of establishing these conversations. His theory is very different than that. I mean, the fact that he came and stood in a room and spoke in a room of counties and said, Counties are going to be the ones to solve this, and we need to know what these counties are doing. Honestly speaks to the administration's awareness that local level authority are the ones who are boots on the ground. And it's really going to come down to a partnership between counties and cities to solve this crisis, as long as the state understands that they have to adequately resource those counties and cities in an equitable manner, because every community is so different, not just in its population, but its culture and its geography. And I'm hoping that OHA, through the system that they're working through right now to analyze the state and its challenges, gets a clue from the White House and from HHS nationally that that's the direction they're going. And I did, just so everybody knows, when they said, what do you need? I said, I need you to start giving money to the counties. The way you handled ARPA dollars, look at the way we handled it in Oregon. It worked. There's no reason why the state needs to be involved in passing money down to us, because I can prove to you right now in 3 situations why it's not working. I mean, look at the broadband situation that they're holding up. They don't need to be in the middle of the work we're doing. We should be able to say to the federal government,
420 million on recovery.
yeah, CDBG-DR dollars for wildfire is a primary example. But anyway, we have proven at the county level, nationally, that we can just get money, we can apply for those dollars, tell them what we're doing within their parameters, and execute it much faster than the state. And I'm just going to keep saying that. And it's going to be the primary subject that I reiterate when I go back I'm filling 2 roles when I go in February, but Gina and I have some appointments and we'll be talking about that. And
Commissioner Bethel, was there any discussion about ARPA extension?
Yeah.
While you were there?
Yes. So we spoke about that with while we were in the White House, and the primary response is the Republicans in the Senate are not interested, and it's very political. On Friday morning, we had Senator Cornyn's office, who's a Republican out of Texas, and then a Democrat staff person, I can't remember which Democrat came. But Senator Cornyn is the one who's drafted this extension bill. That bill doesn't actually do what we need it to do. What we need and what other counties in Oregon need is for the Treasury Department to actually do their job. And in fact, we'll be talking about this because I would like for a legal memo to come from Marion County to NACO and to the Department of Treasury to help them understand what the rule actually says. For us to get the extension, it's just a matter of the U.S. Department of Treasury stating that they can extend it. The bill that came out of Congress doesn't actually limit it to be finalized by December 2026. That was an arbitrary deadline that Treasury put on it for their own internal management. And they have some legalese challenges in their agency that feels like they have to have an act of Congress. NACO disagrees with that. They are lobbying towards that, but they would like counties to start engaging in this, so we'll be working on that. But ultimately, the bill that Cornyn has written is stuck. And we're going to be working in February through NACO to be talking to the Republicans in the Senate specifically, all county presidents across the country, to help them understand why we need them to get behind this bill, and also why we would like for that bill to be expanded to kind of nudge Treasury if that's what they need. And we spent a couple hours on that topic. Every county that was represented by a president, but then their associations across the country is basically pleading to have this extended. So yeah, it was an interesting, and I learned a lot actually that Friday about the Treasury and the challenges that they're putting in place for what we're asking.
Good.
Yeah. There was a lot that came out of the 3 days I was there. But I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to going back.
Where'd you stay?
I don't know.
Did you get to Old Ebbets?
No. I ate a lot of French food, which I've learned that I don't like because it's just loaded with butter. I mean, We went to some really beautiful restaurants because they, NACO kind of organizes everything. And then Gina, through there's 5 or 6 states, Washington, California, Alaska, Montana, Oregon, and Idaho that break off on their own, kind of like the Western states,
yeah.
And go to this really fancy French restaurant. I got a steak, and it was still covered in butter. I was like, I can't win.
Yeah.
I stayed at the Hotel Sonata, which is brand new. It's right next to Union Station. I was able to. The downside to DC is that if you're not staying like in the hub, walking anywhere is super dangerous. So the very first night, we're in this brand new, I was the first person to stay in this room. The room next to me was still having drywall done. It's so new. And I think I got in bed at like 10:30, was trying to settle because, it's like 7:30 Oregon time. And a shooting happens right outside the hotel. And I was like, lovely. Now I have to watch these lights in my room for however long. And I learned a lot about Union Station. I took myself on a tour over there. Was introduced to several folks who had just been released from the Department of Corrections, and they get a bus ticket. Once they're released, they get a bus ticket to Union Station, and then they're on their own. And some gentleman gave me his story. He had to walk 28 miles because he didn't have any money, and I was like, good luck. That's going to take a long time. It seems like a broken system to me.
Been in Union Station a few times. You mentioned Baltimore. I've flown into Baltimore and then taken the train down from the airport to Union Station. It's quite an experience. And one time I flew into Baltimore with my family, and my 2 girls and my wife in the back seat. And this taxi driver, he was on a mission. I thought, I'm taking the train next time. Those guys drive like crazy back there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't follow any road signage. It's just a wild, wild east, I guess. It's not the west. It was like a free-for-all. I have to tell you that, I'm not a very worldly person when it comes to travel. I didn't have the opportunity through my upbringing to get out and see the world. And so in the last couple of years, I've been able to see more things. Union Station isn't that big. When I went into it, I watch movies. There's so many movies that are filmed there. It's very small.
Well, New York is the big one.
I'm sure. But, just for Washington, D.C., I thought it would be larger. But I have to tell you, I still felt like a kid. I asked permission to go into the train terminal where all the trains are waiting for people to board, which you're not supposed to do without a ticket. And this lady thought it was the cutest thing that this 40-something-year-old woman wanted to go out and see the trains. And I did. I feel like the Amtrak trains out there are 3 times the size of the ones we have here. They were huge. And there's just banks of them. And there was conductors waiting and helping people up onto the train. It was a bit of a Harry Potter scene for me. I loved it. So anyway, thanks for letting me share.
Been to the train station in Portugal where Harry Potter was filmed. It's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm a Harry Potter fan. Just saying.
Are you?
Oh gosh.
I'm
yes.
not. In fact, we walked by. Was it a library? And isn't there a library in the Harry Potter movie
Yes.
where everybody stands? Yeah, we walked by. The line was around the block to get in
Yes.
and go into this place. I mean,
Yeah.
this was reality stuff, not just a movie.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anything else?
No.
Council, good?
Yeah.
All right. Jan, we got to go to work. We got a couple long work sessions today. Okay, we will adjourn.